Hi, welcome back to the 164 show. My name is Peter, I am your host, and in this show we do everything to do with 164 ratio die-cast cars, but predominantly Hot Wheels, Matchbox, Inno 64, but we do everything else that I can get my hands on. So if you have recommendations, please let me know in the comments or DM me across all my social channels, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, the 164 show. Before we begin today's show, I just want to say a big thank you to our sponsor. They are Coval Display Australia. Their link is below in the description. But for the month of May and a little bit of June, we are running a 10% off on their website for orders over 150 Australian dollars. So have a browse through their amazing catalog of cases if you've been stuck for a way to fill your walls and your display cabinets with Hot Wheels and you want to make sure they look good. Coval Display is the best way to do it. Have a look. They'll have Redline Club shortcuts, double stacks, quad triples, and loose card displays, all for your needs and to make sure your Hot Wheels collections stand out. Now, let's get into today's show. Redline Club cars. I've been talking about them for a while now. My very first video was the Mustang Boss 302, which was a membership car released in 2021. Now, if you don't know what Redline Club is, it's a Mattel initiative where they release a couple of exclusive cars for members, and every year they have 10 to 15, maybe even more available for you to either pre-order or purchase outright, and you just wait a couple of weeks for it to arrive. Now, I will link the website down below. This is not a plugin for Mattel or Mattel Creations here, but I wanted to rank the worst to the best Redline Club releases in 2021. Now remember, how I created this list is based on the reception. So when it was first released, how was the reception of the audience or the people who collect Hot Wheels? Second of all, what was the aftermarket price after a couple of weeks of dropping? So this will vary between different countries as well. So the US will have definitely different pricing and different reception. So my commentary is based, and opinions are based on New Zealand market, but it could be pretty similar to you. So Redline Club cars is not released all at the same time, or when it's released on the website, it's not available to order. So that's hence the pre-order. So if a car is available for pre-order, just like the Dodge Charger or the Ford Mustang Cobra, they won't be included in this list because as of May 2022, some of these cars are not even available yet. So Mattel, we're waiting for you. Where the hell is our pre-order cars? Nevertheless, these are the list of the cars that have been released and also got into the hands of the buyers. And also remember that these lists will not include the Gucci car, which was an exclusive Mattel-driven, also Redline Club car, but Mattel and Gucci collaboration. This one and even Mark Toyota pickup as well. So these, just be careful of which ones I rank here. Is exclusively for the Redline Club car, no other collaboration involved. Let's get into it. Now, the very worst car that I want to start with is the Camaro Ss. It's the green Camaro that I will forever have a gripe with because, and solely because, it was the very first car that Mattel increased the units released to 30,000 units. Now, moving along is the Red Willys Jeep. Now, this was the red variant that was released after the green one. In the diorama case, I'll put up a picture out below, and the reason why I ranked this one so low is because it drops so fast in the aftermarket pricing. Mattel made a very bad mistake of releasing two different colors of the same car in the same year of Redline Club releases. Not sure what they went with that. Maybe they had they produced too much green, so recolored all the reds to put up this Redline Club. But as soon as the red one came out, the pricing on both red and green dropped like flies. It was crazy. Speaking of which, the next one in my rank is the Green Willys Jeep. And this one is only there because of that red. Releasing two colors at the same year of the same car is really, really stupid. Okay, moving along is the Batmobile. To be honest, when I first saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, they did it again. It's the same or the similar kind of casting to everything else that was done before, and even worse. It was a worse wheel. The color choices was terrible with the wheels. The wheels cheapened the car, and if it doesn't have rubber wheels, I don't give it too much attention. Moving along, we have the Corvette, which also suffers from the same problem of the Batmobile. It was a nice color, but shame that wheel was terrible. The classic Hot Wheels wheel, I understand why people like it, or I understand why Mattel was chosen. It is a classic Hot Wheels wheel, but it's not rubber, it doesn't look good. Moving along is the Bmw M3 2006 in blue. Last year Mattel released two Bmw M3s. One was 1991 and the second one was 2006. Guess which one did better? It's the 2006, no, it's the 1991 M3. And the reason being is that the M3 of 2006 was carded, while the M3 of 1991 was in an acrylic display box. It just has that kind of extra level to it, but also it's a classic M3. The 2006 wasn't even the most popular M3. The 1991 definitely was the top M3, and therefore 2006 M3 suffered. Now let's move on to the custom Dorado. To be honest, it didn't even hit my radar to get this car. It just wasn't pretty. It was the Dorado itself wasn't even my radar for top cars, but some people might like it. That's good for them. They went with the pink one. Okay, that's fine. But it was just not a nice car in the Redline Club series. It didn't have the nicest wheels. It's going back to the wheel discussion. Moving along is the F-150 Raptor Camo. Now I've chosen this car because more to do with the aftermarket pricing. If you realize that the aftermarket pricing F-150 of the blue one, so I'll put a picture up there, and then the Golf F-150, those are some amazing aftermarket prices. And the reason, my suspicion is that the blue one and the Golf one is obviously a lot prettier. So a lot of people want the blue shiny one, and the Golf has a very strong customer, there's a big fan base for the Golf series. Now when they went with the Camo series, it just made it look, oh my god, tremendously ugly. Yeah, so when you release something in Camo, it's gonna be a big hit and miss, and this was definitely a miss. The prices of aftermarket fell like flies. It became less than what the cost landed here in New Zealand was. We're looking at about $70–80 New Zealand. And that was less than the cost it would have landed here. People are trying to get rid of these as fast as they can. These will not increase in prices in the future at all. The blue one, the Golf, will continue to rise. The blue one, you're looking at about 200–250 New Zealand dollars. The Golf one, maybe 400–500 New Zealand dollars on the aftermarket, and with good reason. But the Camo one, definitely a miss. Moving along is the golden 240Z Datsun. Now this is going to be controversial because obviously Datsun is JDM. A lot of people like JDM. And you know, I personally do as well. RX-7, RX-3, one of my top cars. But the golden 240Z Datsun, not the best color to go with. I did a review, you could probably find the review here on my top left, but the golden color was definitely a miss because they released so many other colors before that. Not only was it the same casting, but they chose gold, and it was sparkly Spectra flame gold. Oh, some people might like it, a lot didn't like it. So it was the cheapest aftermarket 240Z out there, cheaper than the blue one, which was also very cheap. You're looking at the current aftermarket price in terms of May 2022 of the golden one is about 120–130 New Zealand dollars, where the blue one is about 160 New Zealand dollars. The more expensive 240Z, where you look at the red one and also the chameleon colors, and also there was a green one. I believe there was a festive color as well. Those become more special, obviously because of the less numbers produced, but also the colors were a lot prettier, they look great, and they hold value. The next one down the list is the Supernova. This, I had trouble ranking it because I personally also didn't like it, but also this was so similar to the Dorado, I thought maybe I could spread it out in the list. Same problem, not standing out at all in terms of the Supernova. There's a lot of fans of Supernovas, but I really feel Supernova of this year was really low on everyone's list. Moving along is the Thunder Roller, another Redline Club car I reviewed last year. And while this was great and there's a big fan base for Thunder Rollers, it just didn't hit the mark in terms of the aftermarket pricing. I don't think it's greatly to do with the color or how it looks or the packaging. It was carded, not acrylic. but I just feel like it just didn't have enough people wanting it. Maybe it will increase in value later on. Current aftermarket of May 2022, you're looking at about $100 to $120 New Zealand. Next one down is the Datsun. Datsun was an interesting car as well. I reviewed that possibly earlier this year, and it was an interesting car because they never done this casting before. So it was a new casting, but nobody knew what Datsun were unless you were a big Italian car nerd. You would have no idea who Datsun is or what their cars were. Even I had to go and wiki the shit. Moving down the list is the Silva SL Mercedes, and the reason why I chose this one a bit higher is because the previous year they had a green one, and the green one was terribly ugly that I'm so happy they chose silver for it. I'm personally not a big fan, but I do like that Gulf wing. The more moving parts there is, the better there is. It just feels more premium and a lot of work has gone to this car. So I was very happy to give it a higher ranking. Moving along is the blue Impala. So I did reviews of this blue Impala and also the pink or the rose Impala last year before Christmas, and boy are they amazing cars. But blue dropped in aftermarket pricing a lot. So now when it first released, about $200 New Zealand dollars on the aftermarket, but the interest in the blue really dropped because of the availability. Maybe it will pick up down the line, but you're looking at about 140, 150 New Zealand dollars on the aftermarket, while the pink or the rose Impala, you're looking about 250 to 300 New Zealand dollars on the aftermarket. Now moving along is the F100. There's a review of this coming out very soon, but the F100 I rank really high is because it just looks so pretty. I know I made a big gripe about orange just a few cars ago, but they chose orange with white and it just stands out and has a moving bonnet. You can open it up and the engine bay is amazing. And next one down is the 32 Ford. Now I chose this higher because of just the uniqueness of this car. Not a huge hot rod fan, but I know there's a big fan base for these cars. And once again, they also went with orange. I don't know about Hot Wheels and orange. Maybe it was a lot of color or a lot of paint last year. Anyway, they went with the orange, but still the 32 Ford was still a nice and interesting car. Next one down is the Candy Stripper Drag Bus. Now I've chosen this car is because of how crazy the aftermarket is right now for the Candy Stripper. And the sole reason I feel is that, actually no, there's two reasons. One of them is that there's a big fan base for drag cars or drag buses. The VW drag bus, but there's also two variants of the drag bus. The emblem can either be pink or they can be white silverish, and having a variant is really important because there are people will be asking for both, and now people will be asking, I believe possibly the one without the white or the pink painting, the pink one, will be asking for more money in the aftermarket than the colored one. So pretty clever for Mattel to do two variants of this bus. Okay, and the very best Redline Club car for 2021 that wasn't a pre-order or a collaboration goes to the Silva Hakosuka. I had to choose this just because it's an incredible car and I'm a big fan of it, and they just pulled it off so nicely. They had the bonnet open, unlike the blue one that was released in 2022. A lot of people opened it up, so they didn't keep it in cards, and it just looks incredible in that color of silver or the chrome. They didn't color it, and I think that was a wise choice. Now, the other reason why I chose the Hakosuka as our number one choice is because of how much demand there was in the aftermarket. Prices haven't really skyrocketed at all. Mind you, the Candy Stripper or the drag bus before, you're looking at about 200 to 250 New Zealand dollars for one of the variants, but the Hakosuka is maybe 150, 160 dollars. But why it's higher is because of the craziness before. You could sell one on the aftermarket 200 and 250 dollars. They released a lot, so that's why the prices have fallen, but I still feel like the demand was strong because of that JDM-ness. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you guys disagreed and also agreed with some of my choices in this rank. I will do another one obviously for the end of 2022. You may have realized that the Mattel Redline Club cars start in March and ends in March of each year, so we just finished the 2021 releases. So stay tuned. If you still continue with us, you'll find out 2022 Redline Club releases as well. Remember guys, this is just YouTube. This is my opinion, but I love to hear your comments as well. And thank you so much to our sponsor Coval Display. Get 10% off your order if you go to covaldisplays.com.au. Link in below. Use the code DA164show and get 10% off your order above 150 Australian dollars. Thank you so much guys, and talk to you later. Bye bye.